Hello, this is Professor Barbara Washburn, and I am just going to give you an overview of the topics we're going to cover for Physics 105, Introductory to Physical Science. The first week we're going to go over scientific notation, units, what the metric system is, how you do that in the calculator, some conversions. We'll also bring up some graphing, and that's using the format of Excel. We're going to learn about how you use graphs and how to put things in Excel, because during our labs you're going to be using some of the data that you're going to have to use Excel graphs in order to interpret the data. And then hopefully, I'm not quite sure for the first week, but we're going to start to go into your Newton's first laws, which is speed, velocity, distance, and time. We'll get into what we call the kinetics of physics, which is the energy of motion or the laws of motion. We're studying basically the physics behind how you move. And so we're going to learn about velocity, acceleration. I'll take some time to explain how you go about solving a problem and the main steps that you need to have involved. Especially when doing the homeworks. If you do it in the way that I'm explaining it to you, then you probably will get most of it correct. We're going to learn about acceleration and velocity in just the x direction. We're going to learn about acceleration and velocity in the y direction. We'll learn about gravity and free fall. And then we're going to basically chuck things across the room. That's called projectile motion in the lab. And then how it behaves, because then when you are throwing a football or a baseball, it's moving forward, so that's an x direction, but it's also moving up in the air and back down in the air, and that's a vertical acceleration. And so we'll learn in this course basically how to solve a problem like that in the two different directions. And then we're going to talk about forces, pushing, your book across the table, the force to hold a pen so that you're writing, all kinds of different types of forces. So again, we're going to learn about what main forces are. That's the primary of Newton's laws. And we're going to learn about those in the x direction and the y direction, and we'll learn about a specific force called weight. We're going to learn about the difference between work and energy, and that's basically mechanical energy, which has a component called kinetic energy, that's the energy of motion, and then potential energy, and that's something that has to do with gravity. We're going to go into heat, which is also another type of energy. We're going to learn about latent and specific heat in our calculations, and what heat is and how it is applied for a gas, a liquid, and or a solid. We're going to get into a little bit of pressure, studying a little bit about siphons and Boyle's law. And then the last quarter of the course, I think, is the most fun. We're going to learn about sound, how they're waves, they're invisible waves, the speed of sound, Doppler effect, what are decibels, and frequencies. And that's very similar, waves and frequencies, and how light waves travel. So we're going to learn about light. We're going to learn about the wavelengths of light and the frequencies. We'll learn about the electromagnetic spectrum. And then I pulled two things from understanding about light. You have what we call geometrical optics, and we have wave optics. So under geometrical optics, we're going to learn about Snell's law, and that's basically how you see reflections and how light goes through materials and how it affects it. That's called refraction. And then under wave optics, we're going to learn about diffraction. Then, if time permits, I'm going to give you a little bit about electricity and magnetism. We'll learn the basics of electricity, and that's Ohm's law, which is voltage, current, and resistance. And we might learn a little bit about magnetism. So that is the course in a nutshell, and I hope you're looking forward to the topics.